Peace, it's Equality Fragrances coming to you from Prince George's County, Maryland. Welcome to my cipher. A cipher is a person, place, a thing within my circumference. The understanding of my cipher is peace. For all those new to the channel and those who have been supporting me since day one, I humbly appreciate all your support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when I drop some new videos. All of that goes a long way in helping the channel grow, and it costs you nothing to do. With that being said, come on in, sit down, and let's build. Today, we're going to be continuing with Rose Week. Now, the type of rose fragrances I'm going to be discussing today are yummy and delicious rose fragrances. These are fragrances that tend to have a little bit of more gourmand tendencies to them. Not necessarily jammy, some can be jammy, but it's more of the gourmand aspect. So it's going to be like rose and chocolate, rose and vanilla. Listen, a lot of y'all going to say, well, what about this fragrance? What about this fragrance? This is a top 5. There are millions of fragrances out there. Everything can't make the list. If it's not on here, it's rather because I don't own it, or I do own it and smelt it and don't think I want it on the list. That's just a fairly simple thing. But by all means, leave your comments down below on your best yummy rose fragrances within your collection. That way, anybody reading my comments, they can read your comments and they can ask you questions. Y'all can build. That's what the cipher is all about. It's all about building. So with that being said, let's start the show. Coming in at number 5 is one of the best chocolate fragrances in the industry. It is dark chocolate, spicy rose, and booze. Now, I said it's one of the best chocolate fragrance in the industry, and you probably said, well, why is it number 5? Well, that's because it's discontinued. I talked about this fragrance at least twice last year in 2021. The last video I did of this, which is probably about a year ago, where I talked about boozy gourmand fragrances. About 8 months after that, it was discontinued and pulled from the site. Now, with that said, you're going to say, well, why are you really talking about this fragrance? Because it's discontinued. Why? Because one, we all know that from this house, they have rebranded their private line. So this could come back in a new bottle. Second, you may be in a Facebook group and you may see this fragrance, and in your mind, you may say, I don't know what it smells like. Should I get it? Should I not? I don't know. I'm telling you, for me, it was worth the price of admission. I wouldn't overpay for it. And that's coming from the house of Guerlain, from their Elixir Charnel line. And this is Gourmand Conquin. This is absolutely stunning. It's cozy, it's inviting. Chocolate, rose. You got vanilla that makes it very creamy. You got rum in there, which adds a natural sweetness and dried fruitiness to the composition. I get a little bit of cinnamon on top of that rose. That's the spice I get majority of, is cinnamon. I think it has another spice on the list. I don't know. I'm not the type to look on Fragrantica while I'm talking to this. I'm just telling you how I experienced the fragrance. And that's Gourmand Conquin at number 5. And then at number 4 is another chocolatey, creamy, bright rose fragrance. This is absolutely stunning. I had like a 50 ml of this. I ran through it years ago, so I had to get another 100 ml. I believe I also talked about this fragrance last year. It might have been my last year's Valentine's Day list. I'm not for sure, but I talked about this fragrance last year. This is amazing. And you can even find it at discounters for a lower price than what you would get on retail, if it's available. And this is from the house of Serge Lutens. This is Santal Majuscule. Listen, this is sandalwood. This is one of the creamiest, best sandalwood fragrances you can buy. But on top of it, you get this cacao, you get this chocolate powder on top of the sandalwood. My God. And then you get a nice, bright, lemony, almost citric rose. So it's probably coming from Rose Damascena or Damask Rose style of family is where that's probably coming from. Again, like with, I don't know if I talked about with Gourmand Conquin, These aren't room filler fragrances. They're chocolate, they're rose, they're woody. I wouldn't even want a chocolate fragrance to be a room filler. That's too much. That is the type of fragrance you want to draw people in and bring them into your zone. It leaves a very good scent trail though, and it makes you mysterious. It makes somebody want to say, hey, what are you wearing? That's another reason why I think overspraying is absolutely ridiculous, but that's another video for another time on another rant. And that's from Serge Lutens. That's Santal Majuscule. Coming in at number 3. This DNA is a classic throughout all the Fragcom. If you want to talk about yummy, delicious, inviting, sensual rose fragrances, I think you have to put this DNA on the list. This is rose and vanilla at its finest. Now, I reviewed one of the fragrances last year, and I said anytime I talk about this fragrance, I will also talk about this fragrance. Why? Because if you walked into a room wearing one, somebody would think you was wearing the other, and vice versa. To try to differentiate the two is trying way too hard, and it seems like I want to be in the good graces of the company. And I'm just going to say they smell the same in the grand scheme of things. And that's from the house of Xerjoff, that's Cambridge Club. And from the house of Montal, that's Intense Cafe. Intense Cafe came out first before Cambridge Club. What do you get here? You get rose. Coffee isn't listening here, but I get a little bit of that coffee feel. It could be saffron. I feel like I get a little bit of saffron in this as well. And you have vanilla. That's pretty much the makeup of what these two fragrances are. Performance on these is absolutely ridiculous. You're going to get 8+ hours on both of these. Scent trail, absolutely amazing. These are great fragrances. Is this smoother? Yes, absolutely it's smoother. I will admit, because every single Montal fragrance I own has this sharp, almost metallic opening within their fragrances, but as it dries down, it smooths down. But I get that in opening all their fragrance. Me being slightly a conspiracy theorist or whatever you want to say, think it's because they put them in these doggone tin cans and it blends with the fragrance. That's my personal opinion. I don't know that to be fact, but what I do know is Pierre Montal, who's the perfumer, also does Mancera, and I don't get that with Mancera fragrances. Matter of fact, Mancera does have a fragrance called Roses Vanille. It smells just like both of these. So if you're wearing one and it's not as sharp as this, I actually like it a little bit better than this. Just a little bit more sugary. But other than that, it's extremely similar fragrances. So that's Cambridge Club, Montal's Intense Cafe, or Mancera's Roses Vanille. Coming in at number 2 is a absolute showstopper. Now this will push out and grab a woman's head or a significant other's head and make them turn around. Listen, oh my God, man. When I talked about a good fragrance, I think fruity fragrances, I said it was Rose Rouge, was very similar. Same perfumer who did that fragrance, did this fragrance. The first time I smelled this back in 2020, I was like, oh, I smelled this before. It's very similar, except for this is darker, richer. So I prefer to, so now that I have both, I'll wear my Rose Rouge kind of in the spring and summer, and I'll wear this strictly for fall and winter because it has body, man. This is coming from the house of BDK. This is Tobacco Rose. A little goes a long way with this baby here, man. Oh, it opens up with this bright yet dark feeling to it. You have some citruses up top, some spice, but yet you get this sensual plum element that adds some darkness to it. You got this bright rose almost. It's not overly jammy, it's more of a bright rose. You got some cinnamon, dark chocolate, and then it starts really getting into the body of the fragrance with the patchouli, the tobacco, and the rock rose. Listen, when you talk about compliments, this gets compliments. Men or women, I'm telling you, man. And that's Tobacco Rose from BDK. Coming in at number 1 I can almost argue that this is one of the best Valentine's Day fragrances you can wear. It really is. Well, is this one I will wear for Valentine's Day of 2022? I don't know. You have to wait back and watch what my choice is going to be. But this is just, it could easily be one of them. This is a delicious, yummy rose fragrance. It is the epitome of it. This is one of the best fragrances from the house. People who love the house love this fragrance. This is coming from the house of Boadicea the Victorious. This is Ardent. Now, this has been compared to Tom Ford's Noir de Noir. I see why people would say that. I get that darkness yet sweet chocolatey feel to it, but this is far superior. It's smoother, and then it's drizzled with a nice warm resinous honey. Slightly waxy, but it's just smooth, man. What do you get? You get the quadfecta in here. You get rose, saffron, patchouli, and oud. The only thing they really could have added in here that really took it to a next level is put sandalwood in here, but it's not in here. But it's still a absolutely amazing fragrance. With all of Boadicea fragrances, performance is not an issue here. This screams, I want you to eat me, devour me, taste me, and get every drop. This is unisex. This is sexy. It's slightly dark. It has some brightness to it. The rose isn't overly jammy. It's just a smooth, almost bright rose, but it has all those resinous, jammy elements like amber. The rock rose is slightly leathery. The patchouli is a hint of chocolatey in there. So you get a little bit of hint. Not much. I wouldn't call it a chocolatey fragrance, but I get that hint of dusting of cacao on top of honey with amber, with oud. Oh man, it's not skank. Ardent at number 1. So that was my top 5 yummy, delicious rose fragrances that you can wear for Valentine's Day in 2022. I really appreciate all the kind words that you give me, all the messages sent to me in my inbox on Instagram. Link will be in the description. I truly appreciate it. Y'all make me want to continue to upload content, because sometimes I just be like, I ain't doing that. But y'all really drive me and motivate me to keep giving y'all that work and feed the streets. Thank you all for supporting me, and I mean that with the bottom of my heart. If you have any questions, hit me on IG. Anybody who's hit me on IG will tell you I respond to every single inbox message. The only reason you will not get a response from me is because you aren't following me on IG. I think that's an etiquette thing. If you're not following me, I don't know why I need to take time out my day to answer questions. It's a give and take here. Other than that, I appreciate you. I'm going to leave you the way I greeted you, and that's in universal language of peace.